folks, it's Jeff here. Just a quick reminder, if you're loving Disney Coast to Coast, there are a couple of easy ways that you can support the show. We'd love it if you could rate and review us on iTunes, or wherever you listen to the show. This is a simple way to help other Disney fans find us. Also, go ahead and share your favorite episodes on social media and be sure to tag us. You can find all of our social media information at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. And finally, I just want to say thank you to all of you who listen every week. Your support is very appreciated, and we love that you're enjoying our Disney geekiness. Now on with the show.
Is your magic meter running low? Well, we've got a cure for you. Welcome to Disney Coast to Coast.
Hey folks, and welcome to Disney Coast to Coast, the ultimate unofficial Disney fan podcast. I'm Jeff DePaoli.
And I'm Aaron Fairbanks.
Hey, Aaron.
Hey,
I'm Jeff. You're Aaron.
Hey, Aaron.
No, I'm Jeff.
Oh,
yeah. Hey,
I thought I was Jeff.
Welcome back. It's been a
You're
while.
wearing the same glasses as me, so I can never tell.
So you got confused?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's something you need to work on.
Are you B?
No, I'm not you. But it's been a while since you've been here, and you are here for a PrimeTime at the Parks episode.
Yeah.
And you actually watched an episode for your first time.
Yeah.
Of Modern Family. You've seen Modern Family before.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of Modern Family, but I didn't
How did you
see
miss this episode?
I watched the first couple seasons at a friend's house, and then I feel like I just probably jumped into it on a streaming service.
Okay, cool.
I'm like, I've just avoided this.
You're I avoided season 3.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's jump into that PrimeTime at the Parks right now.
Don't touch that remote, because you're tuned into PrimeTime at the Parks.
So as I mentioned, this is all about Modern Family. This is during season 3. It's I think it's the last episode of season 3. It's episode 322. So yeah, and it's called Disneyland.
Oh, what's it about?
It's about their trip to Disneyland.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with Modern Family, actually, why don't you give a little synopsis of what the show's about? It's about a family.
It's about a family. It's like
they're modern.
They're modern, but it's in that same vein as The Office or Parks and Rec, where they bill it as kind of like it's a mockumentary.
I've always found that interesting. It seems to work. It works well for this show.
Yeah.
I'm always curious though, why are they being documented?
Right.
I always want that to be the final episode. I don't think The Office. Do you find out why?
You do.
Oh,
yeah.
Why? What's the reason?
Well, it was the very last season. They kind of there's this whole subplot where they're finally going to show up on PBS. The documentary that they've been filming all these years is finally. And so there's this whole weird meta where they're watching themselves, and they watch footage from the early seasons of themselves.
Oh, that's actually really funny.
They did a good job. But I agree, it's they were kind of one of the first ones to really play into that. And so all these other shows, it's what do you why are you talking to a camera?
Yeah, I've always. So this one does a lot of confessional interviews with them sitting on their couch and stuff. And we should say, so there's several different groups. There's the gay couple, and then there's the family who has 3 young children, and then there's the patriarch of the family. And actually, do you remember the first episode? The first episode is very clever. Spoiler if you've never watched Modern Family, but by now you'll know anyway. But you're seeing all individual stories, and it's not till the last scene of the first episode that you see them all gathered together in one home and realize that they're actually all family.
Interesting.
It was done really well. And actually, speaking of the first episode, my first introduction to Modern Family, as was a lot of people, was the D23 Expo. The first D23 Expo, I remember, in 2009. They were trying to convince people to come into this room and watch before anybody else the first episode of Modern Family and The Middle. And I was like, okay, I'm actually interested in both of those shows, but I'm at the D23 Expo. There's no way I'm spending my time watching these shows that are going to be on TV in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
No way. But I thought it was interesting that those both came out that first year.
That's funny.
Modern Family's still going.
I know.
The Middle ended its run last season. I wish they flipped places.
Yeah.
I wish that The Middle... I've seen every episode of Modern Family. Although I will say right now, I'm I watch my sitcoms in a weird way now. I just DVR them all, and I'll binge them later.
Okay.
So I haven't seen any of this season yet, but they're all sitting on my DVR. But yeah, I'm ready for it to end. I really enjoy the show. I like the characters, but my God, it's been, what is this, 9 years?
Yeah.
And supposedly this was going to be the last season, and now I'm hearing no. I'm hearing there's going to be another season. So, I don't know. I'm ready for it to be done.
All the kids have gotten to that age where they're like either poor actors or like they're just like, you know, like there's so many shows like that where it's like the child actor did not age well.
You know, it was the worst situation.
What?
Home Improvement.
Oh.
The youngest boy on that show.
Yeah.
Who was a cute kid.
Yeah.
And he would do things, and he would like impersonate, you know, Tim the Toolman Taylor and grunt and all that stuff. And, you know, he was cute and adorable. By the end of that series, he was one of the worst actors to ever be put on a television screen. I couldn't believe how bad he was. And that they still employed him. I'm like,
yeah,
I get it. He's been there since the beginning. Kill the character or recast him.
Just recast.
Recast him. I mean, they do it all the time. But
people have been recast in like more obvious situations than just getting older.
Yeah. Oh, it was rough. It was rough. But in any case, we're talking about Modern Family.
Modern Family.
This is a very fun show, by the way. I'm not. It's run its course, but I think it's a great show.
Yeah.
And this really was just a trip to Disneyland, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite moments and everything. But the show starts off with something I'm wondering if you remember this in your life. But you see Luke being measured by his dad to see if he will be tall enough to ride the rides at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, I know that's like a thing for a lot of people. You know, everybody wants to be tall enough to ride whatever they want. Do you remember like that specifically in your life?
I don't. Not at any of the Disney parks.
Okay.
I remembered it like. I don't even know what the actual. It's not a Six Flags. It was Carowinds in North Carolina.
Yeah. Isn't
It's
that
one of
owned by the Cedar Fair people? Isn't it?
I think so. Yeah. They use Peanuts characters.
Yeah, Cedar Fair.
If that's a tip.
Yep.
And I just remember because that had a lot of like intense roller coasters.
Sure.
And so that I remember there was a couple that I couldn't ride, but
it was funny watching this on the show because I recognize the fact that it's a rite of passage for so many people.
Yeah.
But for me, I was such a wuss with rides.
I was going to say, I don't think I wanted to ride those rides.
Yeah, I definitely didn't. Like, it took me a long time to like start doing it. My first loop roller coaster was California Screamin' because there was only one loop. I was like, I can at least test it with it.
I can do that.
Now I love it. And like Tower of Terror, it took me years to ride that. I would go and see it and be like, nope. And then like 1 year I finally did it.
I was always scared of the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World, but this is why, because like as soon as you get within a certain range, like you hear the like spooky sound effects.
Sure.
And like you see the house on the hill, and like as a kid, you're small, and it looms large. And I don't think I understood the concept of like, oh, that this is like funny ghosts. I thought it was just like this. Why is there this like scary ride at Disney?
There is a very specific moment in the Haunted Mansion that scared me a lot for many, many, many years. And it's so stupid. Just take a guess, a wild guess, what a young Jeff DePaoli would have been scared of on the Haunted Mansion. It's so stupid.
Where is it in the ride? Is it early?
No, it's the second half. When it gets more into the comedic part of the attraction.
But when you go backwards?
Yes.
You're like, what's going on?
I'm really impressed that you could figure that out. Yes, so my whole thing was like not feeling secure. And when you go out the attic window and you start backing down the hill down to the graveyard.
Yeah.
And like now I love it. Now I feel like it's like really comforting, like somebody's rocking you to sleep.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I didn't get the idea that like, you know, these things are linked together. You're never I just always pictured it like, you know, unhooking from the one in front of me and me just like rolling backwards. Scared me for so long. True story, 100%.
Okay.
So in any case, I was not the kid that was like, "Oh, I hope I'm tall enough to ride."
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, "Oh no, I'm fine. It's all good." But yeah, I thought that was a kind of fun way to start the episode, just because I think a lot of people actually do that. We don't,
right?
But I think a lot of people feel that way. And then, of course, the mom, I believe it is, mentions the most expensive churro on earth.
Yeah.
Which I always find it funny when, like, sometimes I'm surprised when a Disney product will comment on itself in a negative light like that. I'm like, oh, so you recognize that it's overpriced. And are you a churro guy?
You know what? And I'm sure you're going to get some comments about this.
Okay.
I had my first churros at Disneyland.
Okay.
And
do you think they're better at Walt Disney World? Is that what you're about to say?
No. I don't think they're that good at Disney parks in general.
Okay.
I think that, like, I've had better churros from legitimate Mexican restaurants.
Well, because they're frozen at Disneyland, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like,
they're just frozen churros.
I'm always of the opinion that I don't buy churros at Disneyland because I think they're kind of crappy.
I think I've paid for one. And then at like events had free ones.
Well, I've tried some of, they have all the novelty ones now.
It's like a big...
Like, sometimes there's one I'll try, but...
The moment I was like, ooh, you just jumped the shark was when they had rose gold churros.
Oh my gosh.
When the rose gold phenomenon was happening.
I don't even, like, there's so many now that feel like jumping the shark. Like, they're like rolled in like peanuts. And right now there's one that's like got crushed peppermint and like, it's just...
They're very popular. And listen, I honestly think they're as popular, if not more popular, for the Instagram opportunity.
Oh, for sure. But you know what's odd about that?
They want a picture of a churro in front of the castle.
That is the most difficult food at Disneyland
to photograph
because it's literally just a stick.
Yeah. It's people love them. I'm not one of them, but people absolutely love them.
But I would agree with Claire that it is the most expensive churro.
Yeah, I don't think they're that. What are they, like $4.50 or something?
I don't know. Some of those are like $6.
Okay, they can get up. You know what's really gone up in price a lot, and this is not Disney, so I apologize, but butterbeer has skyrocketed in price, and they've changed the recipe. I don't even like it all that much anymore,
That's a
which
bummer.
It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I love butterbeer, and at first, I thought I was getting bad batches, and then like several times in a row I got it, and I got like a regular one, and my buddy got a frozen one. I tried them both. I'm like, nope, this isn't right. Then I went to Orlando, tried it there. It wasn't right. I'm like, they've clearly changed the recipe, and I'm heartbroken over it.
That's a bummer.
Butterbeer churro.
That'll never happen.
That's an idea. Why Disney doesn't own churros?
Oh, I guess that's true. In fact, I feel like I might have seen churros.
In fact, there's a
Universal.
Oh no, I was going to say there's a churro joke at Universal, but it's not. It's a Disney attraction I was thinking of. Yeah, so but they probably sell
That's
them.
a good idea.
Butterbeer churro.
Yeah.
Let's
market that.
Let's hope that J.K. Rowling would approve that.
No.
And do you have any favorite moments or anything that stuck out to you in this episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hear about some of them.
It's when Haley realizes that her ex-boyfriend Dylan is a Dapper Dan.
Yes.
That was probably the most laugh out loud moment.
Well, I will say we laughed out loud. We just watched the episode, and we laughed out loud quite a bit.
Yeah.
I have seen this episode, but it was like back when it was season 3, so it would have been like 2011, something like that. And so I didn't remember a lot of it.
Right.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny episode. I liked it a lot. But yes, him as a Dapper Dan. So one of the things we like to talk about on these Primetime at the Parks is whether or not it's realistic or not.
Right.
You know, I think the most famous examples is when they're at Walt Disney World and they're in one park and 5 minutes later they're in a different park.
Right.
In this case, the Dapper Dans were riding down the street on a 4-person bicycle.
The tandem bicycle.
Yeah, I've never seen that in the park. You know what? Let me take that back. I've never personally seen it in the park. I do feel like I've seen an old video, like a vintage video of Disneyland, with the Dapper Dans standing behind it. Like they're in front of it. So my guess is they probably wrote it out, went to a stage. Maybe I'm making that up in my head. But now that I think of it, I feel like I've seen that before. But I've certainly never seen it in the park.
Yeah.
Have you?
I have not seen it in the park.
Okay. I don't think it's a bad idea.
No. Well, yes, because the park's always crowded. So
That's true. But
how
the
are
main
they gonna
street,
get
the main street vehicles are still running.
Yeah, but they do that usually in the morning. I feel like when it is less crowded.
Oh yeah, totally. It'd have to be.
But
a
they
morning
could do
thing.
that. Yeah, they could do that in the morning.
I did look. Of course, the actor playing what's the boyfriend's name again?
Dylan.
It was the actor from the show. But I was like, oh, I wonder if the other three Dans are like Dans I'll recognize. No, they weren't.
No.
Because, I mean, let's face it, that would be the easiest way to cast it, right?
Oh,
It's
for
with
sure.
just existing Dans.
But they're probably not SAG, so.
Oh, in L.A.? I'm
maybe.
sure they
Yeah,
are.
that's true.
If it was Orlando, I'd say probably not. But here, I'm sure like every performer in the park is SAG-AFTRA.
Maybe.
This is very...
I don't know. Disney might not want to hire union people.
well, it wouldn't be through a SAG-AFTRA contract for a theme park.
Yeah.
So they could.
The nuts and bolts people.
Yeah, this is very inside baseball conversation right here. But yes, that was a great moment. I really like that moment. Of course, there's a great line by the patriarch. What is Ed O'Neill's character? Jay. He's trying to convince his wife to, who's very fashionable, to not wear high heels in the park. I love the line, why do you think they have so many fat people on scooters there?
Oh my gosh.
I was like, it's true. I mean, although I didn't see any in this episode.
That's true.
That was an unrealistic point.
Yeah.
No scooters in this episode.
What kept distracting me too was the background extras, because I was very much like invested in like, what are you doing? Like, why are you sitting on that railing like reading a newspaper?
Well, there are some extras, but there's also a lot of people who are just in the park.
You think so?
Oh, I know so. Like they shoot these during normal park hours.
And they just what do they just like?
They'll
get
block
people
off
to
little
sign a
areas.
release or something.
They usually hang up those signs that say, by walking through this area, your likeness can be used and all that stuff. So the ones that you really see up close are usually hired extras, but the stuff just happening in the background is just that. Yeah. And as long as you're like not wearing a minion, they're like, go ahead. You got your mouse ears on? Fantastic.
Yeah.
Keep going. I believe that's how it's done anyway. What were some other favorite moments you had?
Favorite moments? You know what? I will say things that like seemed unrealistic to me.
Sure.
Was basically their overall like trip to the park. Mm-hmm. Like the geography of like where they were walking, and like none of them seemed to have any kind of agenda at the park except for Phil and Luke, who were like, we're gonna go ride rides, like this is the ride we're gonna go. Everybody else was kind of like wandering aimlessly.
I mean, I know a lot of people that do that.
Well, I know, but people who go like on a regular basis, this is like their family trip to Disneyland.
Well, like a couple of them went on Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
And then they were gonna, I did appreciate the fact that, back to the whole wearing the high heels thing and you're uncomfortable. They were at Splash Mountain. He was like, we got to get to Tomorrowland, which is the other end of the park. And I was like, ooh, it's actually accurate.
Yeah.
Like, it really is the other end of the park. So often I feel like those things are overlooked. So I thought that was cool. You know what didn't happen in this episode?
What?
And this is so rare for a Disney Parks episode. No fireworks.
Ah.
There's two things that usually happen. You usually get the money shot of Splash Mountain, which we did.
Yeah.
They had the money shot of it going down the chute, and usually there's a fireworks finale.
Interesting.
We didn't get the fireworks finale.
In fact, there was no kind of show or...
Just the Dapper Dans.
Well, the Dapper
no
Dans,
parade.
Yeah. No parade.
No Mickey and the Magical Map. And usually those are good things to have on these shows because, like, you can be having a conversation during the entertainment, yet still get... So you know what? One of the things we also talk about is whether or not it felt like a commercial.
Right.
And this really didn't.
No.
Like, now that I'm thinking about there's so much we didn't see that that Disneyland offers. And if it were commercial, I feel like there would have been that parade in the background while they were talking about something completely unrelated.
Right.
And this didn't do that at all. So bravo to them.
Yeah.
They told their story, and they got out of there. I like it. What were there some other... Oh, the kid on the leash. Lily. I love how I watch the show more than you.
You watched the whole show?
I really have. I usually remember the actors' names more than the characters' names, unless it really sticks out for some reason. But yes, Lily, the little girl of Cam and Mitchell, they put her on a leash, or what do they say? It's not a leash.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
And So one of them is mortified that they have their child on the leash, and Cam is like, she runs away. We need to do this for her safety. And I just love the moment when Lily started barking.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, "You're not helping." She's like a dog. Good moment. I loved it. There was a moment that you were like, "Oh." I saw you scoff, and I think I know why. Because they were over by the rivers of America.
Yeah.
And they talked about going on the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
And
Well, specifically, Gloria's like, it's right over there. I'm like, okay, that's a bit of a stretch.
You certainly can't see it from the rivers of America, but it is kind of right over there. So that was a little bit of an unrealistic moment.
Yeah.
Overall, I don't think there were a ton of unrealistic moments, other than like the bicycle Dapper Dans. And maybe the Jungle Cruise comment, but I don't even think I would have thought anything about it, except for the fact that I heard you go, "Oh." I was like,
yeah. I think the only other thing is, and I mean, they're kind of this family in the show anyways, but they go to the park together and then they're just kind of like, well, bye.
Well, I think that's what families do, though, especially when you have kids of all different ages. Like we had one of the teenage girls trying to, hook up with this guy the mom was setting her up with. So like the little boy isn't going to hang out with that. Manny's the weirdo, right? Yeah. Manny's the one who was working on a school project and more concerned about that than riding the rides. And that's just his character. But yeah, overall, I really, really like this episode. Yeah. Perhaps my favorite line in the show. Do you have any idea?
No.
So Mitch is on the phone with Cam, and he says something like, "Where are you?" And of course, we don't hear the other end of the phone. And Mitch goes, "It's Toontown, not Toonton. You've been watching too much PBS." In reference to Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
Made me laugh.
Toonton.
Toonton. Like, that's a good joke.
That was pretty good.
It's a little dated at this point, but I will say Downton Abbey's been off the air for several years.
They're making a feature.
They're making a movie. That's true. Is Maggie Smith gonna do it?
I think so.
Did you watch Downton Abbey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too. And it's not really my cup of tea. Like, I don't tend to like period pieces like that.
Written,
but I love that
show.
show.
It's great.
Yeah, although for the longest time, like, I did not get into Downton Abbey when it first started. I got into it years later.
Yeah.
And before it ended. So, like, I caught up by the time it ended. But I for a long time, I would hear people call it Downton Abbey. And I was like, why are they saying it wrong? Like, I legitimately thought it was Downtown Abbey. And then I saw it, like, written out. And I was like, oh, it's not downtown. All right. So, and like, Toonton. That's fantastic. Now, there's this whole, like, I don't want to say obsession, but fascination with great moments with Mr. Lincoln for Jay Pritchett, the patriarch of the entire group. And somebody said, "Oh, you cried in the Abraham Lincoln thing," and then his response is, "He was a great president, and it was the first robot I ever saw." I was like, great moment, and no pun intended, great moment.
Yes, yeah.
But the thing that I actually really appreciated about this was the episode ends with them in great moments with Mr. Lincoln, and it was very few people in the audience.
Yeah.
Which is super realistic.
Oh, yeah.
And I like, for TV, I would kind of expect it to be full, but it wasn't. And I was like, good on you for, like, showing this isn't the most popular attraction. How often do you do great moments with Mr. Lincoln?
Oh, very rarely. Mostly
a couple times a year, right?
Very rarely, because most of the time the people I'm with, I'm like, hey, you want to do great moments with Mr. Lincoln? They're like, no. Like, okay.
I do it. I wouldn't say a lot, but I think I do it more than most people. Oh. If I'm there on President's Day or Lincoln's birthday, like, you're doing it. And
isn't Lincoln's birthday President's Day?
Well, they're two different days, but it's recognized on President's Day. Okay. So I think it's Lincoln and Washington have very close birthdays.
Yes, yeah.
So they made a day called President's Day to salute them both. But so President's Day, I'll do it, and 4th of July, I'll do it for sure. And then every once in a while, I'll just be like, let's go see Mr. Lincoln.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff,
and it's got a great lobby. If you, honestly, it's not to be skipped. Like, I would say, if you've never been to Disneyland,
the lobby,
the whole thing.
Oh,
like, but I feel like there are a ton of people who would probably go on their first trips to Disneyland and skip it.
Oh, for sure.
I don't think you should.
Yeah. No, it's one of the first animatronic attractions of all time.
It's the first human audio animatronic. Of course, it's been, updated since then.
Yeah.
But the version that we get now is, they call it the version that Walt Disney directed. So, like, it's back to the original show, which I appreciate. I think it's cool. And it's well done. And it has that song Golden Dream in it, which is one of the best Disney songs ever written.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
From the American Experience, or American Adventure, rather. Yeah. American Experience is a PBS show. Now I've got the PBS in my head. American Adventure at Epcot. Let's see, what else is going on in this show? There is a major faux pas in this show that I can't even believe Disney allowed.
What?
So, boyfriend Dylan is trying to find Haley. And
yes.
so, as we learned earlier, he is a Dapper Dan. And later on, we see Haley interacting with Little John from the film Robin Hood.
Right.
And, who is a mascot costumed character. And we hear a voice come from inside the suit, and it's Dylan. I'm in shock this was allowed.
He says he's not supposed to be talking, though.
No, but there's not supposed to be anybody in there. It's not that he's talking. It's that there's an admission of there's a person in this suit.
That's true.
That gets knocked to the ground. And then, I don't know if you caught this, so Robin Hood comes running over after and was, like, kind of laughing. Did you see that he was, like, points and, like, shakes his head? Like, Robin Hood's kind of laughing at the fact that Little John got knocked to the ground. I'm like, okay, not cool. Have you ever been in a park where a character fell and couldn't get up?
No. Have you?
SpongeBob.
Oh, my God.
SpongeBob used to have a costume where, like, it was not his or her arms.
Right.
It was, like, rods.
They hold it from inside, yeah.
So hearing SpongeBob is down, like, was a normal thing at Universal, which is why the costume's been changed. But yes, I've seen SpongeBob down, and it's uncomfortable for, like, it's no fun. And so just the idea that they knock Little John to the ground, the fact that they are admitting there's a person inside there, the fact that he's talking.
Oh, I take that back.
What?
I've seen part of Heimlich fall down.
During Pixar Play Parade?
Yes, yeah.
I have seen that online. I have not seen that in person, but yes.
And that's sad.
Oh, and that's really no arm. Like, you're down.
Yeah.
If you are a Heimlich triangle, you are down for the count. Yeah. Oh, that's rough. You're an evil person for laughing so hard at that. I love it. But what did you think of that? Did you think it was weird?
No. I didn't think it was weird. I just...
Did it take you by surprise?
It would have taken me more by surprise if he didn't call out the fact that he wasn't supposed to be talking.
Okay.
That he knew, like, he was in the wrong.
Do you think that character was chosen on purpose?
Possibly, and it's funny because I had to look up I had to look it up because I was like, is that really what Little John looks like?
Oh, yeah.
It's such a terrible, like...
It's not a great costume.
I mean, I realize it's dated at this point, but it's a pretty bad costume, and it's one of the ones where it's pretty obvious.
Where the seams are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can tell, like, where the chest piece is just kind of, like, totally bizarre. So I do think it was, like, one of the ones that was... They chose a date... Because that was what I was shocked at first, was, like, I was like, man, Little John's not hanging out around Fantasyland, like, on a regular weekend. Like,
sure.
That's not realistic.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do think my guess is that they had this idea for part of the story, and they went to Disney Legal, and they're like, okay, what character will you allow us to do this with?
Yeah.
And, like, take Little John, nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably how it went down. But even still, I'm surprised that was allowed at all. We're jumping all over the place here, but I just keep looking down at my notes, and there's another line that made me laugh so hard, and that was when Mitch and Cam were walking around with Lily on the leash, and so Mitch was really embarrassed by what people were thinking of them, And he goes, look, we just got a glare from Mr. Socks with Sandals. I was like, that's so funny, because so many dads are in the park. It's not only socks and sandals, but like socks and Crocs, which is even worse.
Yeah.
So that made me laugh quite a bit. And let's see. Oh, one of the things that I found interesting was the fact that Luke and what's his dad's name again? Phil. They were going on a bunch of rides, and Phil claimed he was like the roller coaster master and all this stuff, but he started getting sick on the rides.
Right.
And
I'm glad they clarified at the end, because I was like, none of these rides are like that intense.
yeah, so it ends up being because he has the flu, but he thinks that it's just because he's getting older and he can't handle them anymore. And I'm just curious, like, are there any rides that as you get older, you're just like, oh God, this is rougher than I remember? Because let's face it, like when you're a kid, you can take any of that stuff.
Yeah.
There's certain things now that I'm just like, teacups, you're not getting me on. Anything spinny, I'm just like, I know a lot of people, Star Tours really starts to bother them.
Really?
I know people that will not do Star Tours because it just makes them ill.
I think the only one that I've noticed in recent years is the drop rides, so Tower of Terror
Really?
or Guardians. It's not too bad, but I think the last time, well, to be fair, the last time I really noticed it was I went to the opening night of Guardians and rode it like 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
So by that time I was like, no, I do not want to do that again.
The drop doesn't bother me. It's the spin. Dropping I actually find really enjoyable. Like
I enjoy it as well, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just the spinning that makes me so nauseous.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of the faster roller coasters, but
One of the things about, DePaoli's and my mom specifically is that we're very schadenfreudic. Like, watching other people in uncomfortable, very funny to us.
Yeah.
And so I remember being on a tilt-a-whirl with my mom. This was probably like a decade ago at this point. And I was just like not feeling well. And it was very obvious I wasn't feeling well. And my mom had a good laugh over the fact that the tilt-a-whirl made me ill.
wow.
Yeah, evil people. evil people. Some other favorite moments for you?
I mean, I think just seeing like the way, being kind of like a production person and seeing locations that they chose, and that's why I think that's part of why like the geography of the park and like why they chose like, oh, like they're back on Main Street now, like, oh, like now, like just like what didn't make sense to me, but also in my head being like, well, yeah, that's a really nice place to shoot a background. Like
My guess is they also like consider where can we shoot with disrupting the park the least.
oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
We didn't see too much of the castle. There was a little bit. There was a scene where Jay buys the slippers.
Yes.
For
which they don't sell at Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique.
Yeah, so he says he got the
real.
I wasn't sure because he did say he got them at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And it's not a princess thing. They were like Minnie Mouse slippers. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I've never stepped foot in the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, so I wouldn't really know.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy to ask about that.
What was I just gonna say?
Something about shooting locations.
Oh, well, no, yeah, you made a good point, because I also didn't see, they never shoot anything in Critter Country.
Well, Splash Mountain.
Well, I mean, that's the border.
Yeah, they're not over in the corner. Although, you'd think that would be the easiest place to shoot something.
Right.
Toontown and Critter Country, I feel like, would be the easiest places without disrupting, because, like, those are two locations that I feel like a lot of people skip.
Yeah.
I know people, like, who are legit Disneylanders, like, go very often, and it took them years to even realize that there was a Winnie the Pooh ride back in Critter Country. It's just so off the beaten path that
my gosh.
they're like, it's the exit to Splash Mountain.
No.
Yeah?
No.
It's a thing.
It's Winnie the Pooh.
Sorry. It's not everybody's jam. It's just your jam.
You see Phil and Luke get on Indiana Jones, but they never walk through Adventureland.
That's true.
Yeah.
They did have a 45-minute wait on a weekend for Indiana Jones, which really is pretty...
That is kind of unrealistic. I think what was more unrealistic for me was where they were in line, and I was like, that's not where the 45-minute mark would be for the
Well, that would have been the
line.
Fast Pass line, really. They were in the Fast Pass line. But
Right.
Yeah, but this was, how long ago was it? This was like 6-7 years ago. Park crowds were a lot different.
Yeah.
45 minutes was more realistic. It's become crazy now.
But that's not where they would have been waiting at 45 minutes.
Yeah, probably not.
They would have been inside. But inside is way too dark. It would not be a great place.
It would not be good production. Yeah, there's certain Tomorrowland I don't think we saw at all.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, at least in the time I've been going to the park, I'd say the production that was most disruptive to Disneyland was Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh, for sure.
When that was there, that was Tomorrowland even was.
I mean, they had to shut down significant,
like Main Street USA.
Park, yeah.
I mean,
even the fact that he pulls up to the main gate.
Yeah, he pulls up the car. Yeah, that was probably the most disruptive I've seen. But the movie Tomorrowland, that was basically over by Small World, so you can kind of sanction that off a bit. But it's cool that these shows shoot there. But I always wonder, like, if you're a tourist, and I am very curious. If you're a tourist, is this like super cool? Like, hey, I'm there when they're shooting Modern Family in the park, or are you like, you're in my way?
Oh, for sure.
This attraction is closed because of you. Like, I'm curious which direction it would go. Because us living in SoCal, we see production, and we're just like, you are so bothersome right now. Like, I'll be driving somewhere, and I can remember, like, I'd first moved out here, you'd see production on, in a restaurant or something. Like, oh, what is it? Oh, my God. And now I'm just like, get out of my way, please. Even on studio lots, where that's what they do, I'll be driving, get out of my way. It's so bad. Terrible. Oh, I take it for granted. One thing I really appreciated about the show is, I think it was Dylan who says something like, oh, the Dapper Dans are a Main Street tradition since 1959. Of course, I had to look that up, and that is an accurate fact.
I would hope so.
Bravo.
It's a Disney show, so.
I don't hear, do you hear weird stuff all the time on these shows? Quit looking at my notes. You're going to get the trivia.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't even looking at
Oh my gosh, you were looking at my trivia question.
I was not looking at it.
I don't like it.
No.
But... yeah, so I appreciated that. It's funny because Big Bang Theory will have tons of Disney references, which of course is not a Disney show. They have so many Disney references. I'm like, there's somebody on that staff who loves Disneyland. Like, just loves it. You hate Big Bang?
I hate Big Bang.
Please.
It's the worst show.
The worst show?
Yeah.
I think that's an overstatement.
No, it's pretty bad.
I mean, it's definitely ready to end, but I wouldn't say anything with Jim Parsons isn't the worst show ever.
Wow. I mean, he's the
phenomenal.
only reason that show has survived that long.
Yeah, but let's talk about the fact that at least they were smart enough to recognize that fact. Because, so the show's ending because he wanted to leave.
Yeah.
At least sort of the story goes. I wouldn't have been surprised if they're like, well, let's see if we can work it without him. Him and Amy move away. He'll come on 3 times a season or something. I wouldn't have been surprised if they tried that. I'm so happy that they're like, oh, there's no show without Sheldon. Okay, we're done. Let's pack up shop.
Okay.
And then they should do a Disneyland episode. I know it's CBS. I know it won't happen. But somebody on that show clearly loves Disneyland. I love it. Any other favorite moments for you? Or things you didn't like? Or I'm trying to think if there's anything even remotely commercially about the show.
No, not really.
And I don't think there was.
You know where else they didn't go? New Orleans Square, which is one.
Well, they were at the Rivers of America.
Well, that's
they were on the waterfront of New Orleans Square, and they definitely did Toontown. They did Main Street. They did not do Tomorrowland. They did Fantasyland. They did not do Critter Country. They did Frontierland. They got around.
Yeah,
they did pretty well. Yeah. And they ended in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is how it should always end.
Yeah. Every Disney episode, every Disney park episode should end in Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln.
No, fireworks.
Fireworks. Okay.
Fireworks.
Okay.
And then Great Moments.
What this is the one exception is like, if you don't end with fireworks,
Great Moments.
Great Moments.
I'll tell you what, if you don't end with fireworks in Florida, you should end with Carousel of Progress.
Oh,
yes.
Totally.
There's a great big beautiful tomorrow. I just watched a video all about the history of that attraction. It was by Yesterworld. Are you familiar with Yesterworld?
Yeah.
He created a fantastic video about just the different iterations of that show.
Yeah.
And it's changed so many times.
I should watch that because the thing that I'm always interested in is what was the original last
The original last? What do you mean?
Last scene of that show.
Oh. So it's originally, I think it was New Year's Eve, and then
Yeah.
eventually switched to Christmas. But it was always set up differently in the respect that, like, you know how the 3 other scenes have like the main set and then the 2 side sets.
Yeah.
The final scene was always a bigger set with more family members involved. So
Really? Because I think I've seen an older one where it was literally just mother and father.
in the final scene,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I just watched it today. Maybe
They're
I'm
like,
mistaken.
We finally got the kids and the extended family out of the house. It's just me and mother.
Oh, they need to update that so badly.
I know, and that's part of what like triggers that in my mind is like, oh, they could do like a really cool retro version, like not try to see into the future and figure out like.
Maybe we'll go back old school, like the way that Lincoln went back to the way Walt directed it. Maybe we'll get like the original Carousel of Progress that is, historical progress.
I would love that.
Would you? I don't know.
I think
what I would like. Here's the thing: if they're gonna update it and put a more current last scene, I think they need to change the 2 middle scenes. Like, there's too much of a gap. What does it go? It goes from like turn of the century,
right,
to the 20s to the 40s,
yeah,
to the 90s.
Yeah.
So like 40s to 90s is a pretty huge gap.
That's why I say I think it would be better to go into like a retro like here's what we thought the future was going to be like in the 1950s, cuz at this point, like, honestly, how could they even like think of something to do like what's going to be like 10 years from now? It's gonna, because they already have like VR goggles and like voice recognition and like,
sure, I don't even think it needs to be the future. It can be
contemporary.
Yeah, it can be contemporary, I'd say.
I can see that.
Problem is that becomes outdated,
You're
so
right.
they want it to be slight future, so at least for a few years it'll work. But
I think do like future of the past, kind of like
future of the past.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
like the future.
Oh, the future
that
of-
they imagined in the
Okay,
past.
I gotcha.
Like the Jetsons, like that kind of like. That's what, because I mean, think about it. Like that would be much cooler to watch that than be like, wow, they really need to. Like VR, that's the thing. Like, this
Well,
isn't-
they even mentioned laser discs, don't they? I think they mentioned laser discs in the final scene. But
Yeah.
in any case, by the way, speaking of prime time of the parks and sitcoms, I genuinely think Carousel of Progress should be a sitcom. I think that would be awesome.
I could see it as like a really good limited series.
Streaming service.
Yeah.
Hello.
Limited series where it's like literally follows that family through those changes in technology.
The only problem is they don't. I've always found it weird they don't age.
Right.
Like, I guess the boy does.
They get different haircuts.
They get different haircuts, and like the 2 children age a bit.
Right.
The boy especially.
Well, and in that final scene, I feel like mother and father are a little bit older.
A little older.
Yeah.
And grandma and grandpa are still alive.
Yeah.
Still kicking it.
Uncle, what's his
Uncle
face?
Orville?
Uncle Orville.
No privacy around here.
He's still using the bathroom.
Yeah.
So.
Fun times. Anyway, back to Modern Family. Sorry, that was quite the tangent. Anything else you want to talk about this episode?
No, it's fun.
Would you recommend it?
This episode?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I definitely would.
Yeah.
I think you could, honestly, I think if you've never seen Modern Family, you could just jump into this and watch it.
Maybe.
I don't think it's any...
feel like you might need
What
a
do you
little bit
need
of
to know?
context.
But what? Like, what specifically would you need to know? I feel like anything you need to know, they kind of spell out right in the episode.
I guess so.
I don't think you need to know anything.
Yeah.
Except that it's funny and it takes place at Disneyland. So win-win. And it's season 3 of the show, back when it was like in its prime.
Right.
And winning Emmys every single year.
That's right.
So I would say go get it. Unfortunately, it's not easy to find.
Really?
It's not on Netflix. It's not on Hulu. It's like you've got to...
You probably got to buy it on
I shouldn't say that.
Amazon or-
You can find it streaming. You just have to pay for it.
Yes.
It's not on any of the free streaming services like a lot of the shows have been for primetime at the parks. So we had the old-fashioned, speaking of like not modern,
Your
old-fashioned...
laser disc machine?
we watched it on DVD.
Wow.
Digital video
You still
disc.
have a DVD player?
I do, because it plays blue. Well, actually, it's a Blu-ray player that plays DVDs and also streams.
Oh, nice.
So it's like,
It's pretty modern.
it's pretty much.
It could go in the Carousel of Progress.
Truth be told, I still have a VHS player.
Well, that makes sense.
It's in my closet.
Yeah.
with my Honey I Shrunk the Kids VHS. No, my Honey I Shrunk
That's the only VHS you own. You just have like...
It's one of few.
You just like...
There's like
only...
probably a dozen VHS tapes I own, but I've started actually collecting them now.
Yeah.
Like, of my favorite movies.
Tangent, but you remember when they used to have special features just like at the end of the VHS?
Well, listen to this. I bought a Honey I Blew Up the Kid VHS tape off of eBay.
Yeah.
That was for video rental stores. So at the beginning of it, there's a mini making a featurette.
Oh.
And I was like, I need this.
Oh my gosh.
I bought it on eBay.
And you can watch it on your VHS player.
I do. I the thing that shocks me is like my flat screen, I can hook up my VHS player to it.
That makes sense.
Through like the red, white, yellow cable or whatever. And I'm like, cool. Like, there's something beautiful about VHS. It's so grainy. Oh, it's so pretty grainy. I love it. Ooh.
Okay.
It makes me think of actually, when I saw the 25th anniversary of Beauty and the Beast on screen with like an original print.
Yeah.
It was weird because I had only seen like DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, like this is grainy. This looks hand drawn.
Yeah.
Like even the re-releases look clean.
Well, it's because they
clean them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
some like
didn't I hear
bad
about this though?
drawing too. There's like some like you could call out a couple like scenes where a face is like not well animated.
I don't know if this was Disney or not, but I feel like I've heard something where they're actually doing the opposite now. Like they're dirtying movies back up because people want to experience a movie like the way it was made.
I don't know about that, but I know that they're releasing movies on print. Like they released Rogue One on 70mm print. So if that's what you mean, as far as like they're releasing movies that are shot mostly digitally and use like digital VFX, and they're releasing them on prints. And like I saw Rogue One on print, and you get that. You know, there's pops and there's hairs and, you know, things like dust on the
And that's so
print.
interesting, though.
It's fun. I like it.
I like it, too.
Because that's how movies were meant to be. I mean, that's the whole concept of, like, projecting light behind cellulose. Like,
sure.
That's, like, that's the magic of a movie. And when it's just a digital projector, you know, it's not the same.
We sound so old right now.
I don't know. We're just cinephiles.
No, we sound very old right now. Anybody, a teenager or younger listening, is like, "Ooh, you old."
That teenager probably has motion smoothing turned on their TV when they watch high def movies.
What is motion smoothing?
Wow, now you sound old.
I don't even know what this is.
Motion smoothing is a setting on Ultra HD 4K TVs.
Okay.
That's meant for sports. You probably no. It's automatically on, so you probably recognize it because it makes everything look like a soap opera.
It gets rid of motion blurs.
It basically exactly. It
Spielberg specifically tried to create motion blurs for Jurassic Park, and now we're removing them.
It in-betweens automatically, like it in-betweens frames. So if you ever see a TV and you're like, wow, that looks like crap, it's because motion smoothing's on.
Oh, that's what my parents' TV must have. That the sets look like sets.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's why I say kids who are laughing at us because we sound old because we're talking about how good things look on film.
Yeah.
Probably have motion smoothing turned on their TVs.
Yeah. But HD, I'll tell you what, HD is not good for actors. Oh man, people look rough in HD.
Yeah.
Even beautiful people look rough in HD.
Wow.
Anyways, I think that means it's trivia time. All right, Aaron, do you want to hit me with a trivia question first, or shall I hit you?
You hit me.
Okay, so we were talking about Little John because he was a walk-around character in the park, and the voice actor who portrayed Little John in the film is Phil Harris.
Yes.
Can you tell me, there are two other Disney characters I know of that he played.
Easy.
Oh, let's hear it.
Baloo.
Okay, very good.
And Thomas O'Malley. the alley cat.
Wow, I am blown away.
Why?
I would have never in a million years known
Really?
that.
He's got such an iconic voice.
Yeah,
I should if you're blown away, I should drop on you like, what voices did Sterling Holloway do?
Yeah.
In that era, I feel like they just recycled like all.
They
the
reused
same
a lot
voice
of
actors.
for sure. They definitely did. But I'm in shock because the Aristocats is never on my radar.
I should change my. Yeah, I get that.
It's never on my.
I get that.
I honestly don't even know if I've sat all the way through the Aristocats.
It's not a.
It's not
not a
great.
strong film. This is only because you mentioned Robin Hood, and I recently was reading an old story packet for Disney story artists.
Sure.
And it was like it was like just a packet that they would give to story artists that kind of gave you an introduction to Disney storytelling.
Okay.
And they give they're like, these are strong Disney movies, bop bop bop, and I forget what it was, but then it's like Robin Hood, not a strong story. And I was just like, wow, you just totally bashed your own movie.
That's funny. What'd they say about the Aristocats?
It wasn't in there, but it reminded me of that.
So bad we don't even talk about it.
They're totally willing to just be like, yeah, wasn't that good?
Well.
Now I want to change mine to voice acting.
You can ask me two trivia
it's okay.
questions.
All right, it's fine. I just know you won't be able to get it because you're like, I don't know. I wouldn't know Phil Harris.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that. I mean, the Baloo thing I might have been able to figure out. But to be honest, I haven't seen Robin Hood in so long that I can't even remember what that character sounds like. I'm guessing it sounds like Baloo.
Well, and it's so
And he looks
easy.
like Baloo.
I was gonna say it's easy to remember because they're both just very similar
same
models
character.
of bear, and they both sound the same. So mine is Christmas related because it's
Christmassy time.
it's around the holidays.
Okay.
What is the first Mickey short that Mickey dressed up like Santa Claus in?
Oh gosh, you expect me to know the name of the short?
I don't know.
No, there's Santa's Ride.
Is that
No, I made that up, but I would believe if you told me there was a Disney short called Santa's Ride, I'd believe you.
Okay. It's Mickey's Orphans.
Oh, Mickey's Orphans. That's actually a really sweet one. But I would have never known the name.
Do you remember what that he gets the basket full of kitties?
Yeah, I remember he brings a bunch of toys to the orphans.
No.
No? I'm thinking of something different?
I think you're thinking of something different. Yeah.
Okay, I'm thinking of something different.
But, I mean, I guess Mickey was helping out orphans a lot.
Mickey's Orphans.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
1931. No, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your other trivia question?
My other trivia question would be, what Disney animated characters did Sterling Holloway
Is that the
play?
guy who talks like
No.
this? So
Oh my
what does he
gosh,
sound like?
He sounds like Winnie the Pooh.
Then Ka,
Yeah.
because he sounds like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
What other characters sound like Winnie the Pooh? Does he sound like Winnie the Pooh in the other characters, or does he?
Does he
actually alter his
almost
voice?
always. No, he's a. That's the other thing.
He's
feel
one
like
voice.
in that time period. It's always very distinct.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because I feel like now they get guys like Alan Tudyk or Bill Hader who are very who have a wide range.
Who was the last person you just said?
Bill Hader.
I feel like Bill Hader's always Bill Hader.
He's pretty close. But
It depends. If you're famous, they want your voice. But if you're a voice talent, they want you to do a bunch of voices so that they only need to pay you once.
But Fear versus his character in Ralph 2.
Yeah, it's called Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Okay, whatever.
But
That's too long. I don't have time to say that.
no, Ralph Breaks the Internet, the sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph 2.
Ralph
That's
2,
too
yes,
long.
okay.
That's too long.
Yeah.
But who else does he do? I'm trying to think who else sounds like Winnie the Pooh.
He's the Cheshire Cat.
Okay. Oh, okay, yeah.
He's a mouse character in the Aristocats.
Oh, great movie.
Well, that's what tipped me off. I was like, you're not going to remember this one. And then, who does he play in... he plays a character in Bambi as well.
Oh, I haven't seen Bambi in so long.
But he's also, he did, narration for some of the shorts. And,
Yeah, they definitely had a troupe of people that they worked with over and over again
Yeah.
back in the day. So they were loyal So loyal.
They were loyal to Walt.
Yes. Anyway, Aaron, you want to tell folks where they can find you if they want to follow you and stalk you?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Aaron L. Fairbanks.
Did you change it?
I did.
You changed it.
I did.
Aaron L. for Leroy Fairbanks.
It's for Lindsay.
Lindsay?
Lindsay.
Was that somebody's last name?
Yeah.
Okay. Aaron Leroy Fairbanks.
Leroy.
Guys, I want to remind you that right now, for a limited time, the Disney Coast to Coast 2019 calendars are available to order
made
over
a
at
calendar?
Disney. Of course.
Without me?
Over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.
Oh my gosh.
Are you would you have preferred the phone call? You're like, I
Maybe.
don't have time for that.
No, I don't have time.
So that's over at DisneyCoastToCoast.com. You can order them there because 2019 is so very close.
It's almost over.
Which is 2019? no, but it is almost Halloween.
Yeah.
So, I mean, once we get to 2019, we're closer to Halloween, right?
That's true.
So I'm all for that. And also, it's a new month, so a new music playlist is out. Of course, this month they had to theme it to the holidays, so a new Disney Coast to Coast Disney music playlist is available. Head to DisneyCoastToCoast.com, click on the playlist tab there, and I want to give a shout out to my patrons, Philip, Rio, Monet, Anna, Diego, and James. Thanks so much for being Patreon supporters over on patreon.com/DCTC. I almost forgot it for a second. Patreon.com/DCTC. Aaron, thanks for coming on the show and having some PrimeTime Park. I was going to say pondering, but that's the princess thing.
The park pondering.
PrimeTime
pondering.
Thanks for prime timing at the park with me.
Princess PrimeTime pondering.
Princess
park.
Pondering in the PrimeTime Parks.
Yeah.
That's a new segment coming in 2019. Not true. Have a magical day, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for watching Disney Coast to Coast. Have a magical day.
Disney Coast to Coast is produced and hosted by Jeff DePaoli. Learn more about the podcast and become a supporter at DisneyCoastToCoast.com.